So now that we've created our question class and we have the basis going, it's time to work with data. So the idea with this part of the practice is to take the information from the data pie and bring it into the main pie, so we can actually start using it, and we can actually bring these questions as a list to the main pie. So one of the things that we want to do, one of the objectives here, is that obviously we want to bring this these questions into the main pie, but we want to bring it as objects, because if you want to just bring it as the dictionary, because as you see, this is a dictionary format, and again, this is the data.py file that you had inside this project, and you see this is just a bunch of dictionaries, right? Like it is a dictionary, a bunch of dictionaries inside a list, and we obviously want to keep it in a separate file. And that's the whole idea of the object-oriented programming. We want to keep it in separate sections, separate compartments and modules, and we can reference them and use them, right? So with the idea with this is that we want to create objects out of these questions, so we can easily reference it in the main pie and start using it. So actually, right now, one of the things we want to do, let's actually get rid of this. One of the things that we want to do here is that we want to actually start cleaning this up a little bit. If you pull up this file, if you take a look, we got a lot of errors here, 14 weak warnings, and one typo and all that stuff. So let's actually fix this up. You don't have to do these, but it's a good idea to fix them. For example, this typo here, if you actually click on it and click this icon here, the light bulb, you can actually add it. You can say save backup to dictionary, so it just saves it to a dictionary. There you go, that problem is solved. Now for the these things, indent errors, now the thing is that it's not a big deal, but you can actually fix this pretty easily. So if I select all of them and go to code, I can actually auto indent it, and just like that, we fixed most of it. Now another error, I believe, is just the long lines. So Python doesn't like it when you have really long lines here like this. So you can fix that very simply, and all you got to do is just enter, and just like that, it's gonna fix that. And I think we have another one here. Yeah, there you go. Actually, not that. So let's just fix it like this. But anyways, so that's that. Let's see what else we got. So we got one error here. It says the line too long, and we can just fix it like that. So just like that, we fixed all of our errors. So again, just wanted to kind of show you this. Not a big deal, but we can actually fix it, clean it up. All right, so with that being said, we have our data ready, and let's go ahead and start writing the code. So let's actually talk about, again, objective here is that we want to pull this data in the main pie, but we want to also pull it in the object format, not just in the dictionary format. All right, so let's go ahead and do this. So the way we're going to do this, we're going to start by actually obviously referencing these question model and data py files. So I'm just going to say from question model, we're going to say import question. So we just imported the class, the question class, right? And then from data, we're going to import question data. So now we actually have access to these two. All right, so that's the first two. What we're going to do right now is we're going to create a question bank, right? The idea with this is that we want to have a question bank. This is going to be holding all of this data inside it, right? And we can actually use this question bank to reference these questions, their text, their answer, whatever we want. So that's the idea behind this. We want to create a question bank, which is going to be a list. So I'm just going to say question bank equals a list. Again, this is going to be an empty list, and we need to bring all of this data into the question bank. So I want you to actually think about how you can do this. So the idea is that giving you a hint here, the way you do this is that you use a for loop. So you want to use a for loop to loop through all of this data and bring this into two variables, text and answer, or question and answer, right? So that's basically the idea of it. So just pause the video and see if you can actually do this by yourself. Again, use a for loop to pull that data to your main pie, and see if you can do that. Anyways, I hope you guys tried that. Again, just think about it. It's really not that complicated. All you gotta do is just use a for loop, obviously, as I said. So we're gonna say for loop for question in question data, right? So that's basically what we're referring the whole thing, right? Question data, which is going to be, again, this, right? So right here, what we're going to do is we're going to say question text. Again, this is a local variable, right? So we're going to say question text equals question. And what we're going to do is we're going to say grab the text from here. So again, if you remember, the text is this key, or the the value here, which is the dictionary value of this, right? This is basically the question, right? And we can do the same thing, question answer. Again, we're grabbing this value, we're grabbing this key basically, and we're going to say answer. So just like that, what we did is that we created an empty list, obviously, and then we used the for loop to go through this data, right? And we said, okay, we assigned a variable and said, hey, grab this key value from this file and assign it to this variable. Very simple, right? So just like that, we grabbed these values. Now we're going to create an entirely new value and assign this into an object or the class. So take a look. So new question, and we're going to create, and this is our object name, right? So I'm just going to say question. Then this is going to be the class. And if you remember, when we created this class, we have this Q text, Q answer. These are the values, right? The question text and question answer. And the question text is going to be this, right? This, the value that we created here, the variable, and the question answer also the variable that we created by looping through the data. So just like that, we actually have these, objects, basically this object that is assigned to each and every single question inside this file. So just like that, we have this, and now we're going to actually append this, because now that we have this value, we want to actually add these questions into this list, right? Because we're not doing that right now. So what we want to do is we're going to say question bank, all right, and we're going to append. If you remember, that was one of the ways that we could actually edit like information inside a list, right? And we're going to say new question. So just like that, we grab this information. Again, we create an empty value, empty list here, and then we use the for loop to go through everything inside this question data, again, which is essentially the question data, which is all the values inside this dictionary and inside the data pie, right? And then we assign a new variable called the question text and say, hey, go inside this thing and find everything that has a text key here. And then another one, we assigned a new variable called the question answer, and we went inside everything that has an answer key value inside inside this data. And just like that, we grabbed this and we said, hey, okay, so now that we have this information, we're going to assign a new object. This is new question object, and we use this class to put all of this together, and now we can actually append it inside this list. So just like that, we have this value and we have the question bank ready to go. Now, no matter what we have inside this, even if we change the questions, this is not going to change, and this is going to work perfectly fine. All right, and the way we test it, let me actually test it for you, and let me show you what I mean by this. So if I print, for example, question bank, okay, let's actually print question bank. Let's actually run this. Take a look at this. What happens? Take a look at this. So we got all of these values inside a list. See, guys? So we have a list that is not empty anymore, right? So take a look. So just like that, we got our for loop running through the data pie and pulling all of that information. And if you actually pull a specific information, for example, I'm going to say 0, because what I want to do is I want to pull that first key value, and we're going to say text. We're going to get the exact question. Take a look. This is this: a slug's blood is green. And if you actually go here, we see that this is the first value, right? Text: Slug's blood is green. So just like that, we were able to pull that information into our main pie without having to actually reference all these dictionary values individually, and we assigned it into a object which we can use all over the place in our program. So guys, I hope that made sense. Let me know if you have any questions, guys. If not, I'll see you in the next one.